Hi pals, welcome to another daily video. It's so blinking hot in this room, I don't think I'm going to be able to last that long. I've got the window open, but it just seems to be blowing in hot air off the street. I've got my fan, so I'm going to be able to last for a little bit. So, some things that I'm going to do today. I've had an idea for a few more illustrations, which I'm going to try and get a little, what's the word? A little collection together. It's something that I've not really thought about since taking this year out. So if you've watched previous videos, you'll know that since January I've been taking time away from designing things to sell, because I run a small business called Embers and Ink, and for such a long time I didn't realise that I was only drawing things that I thought other people would like to buy on cards or whatever. And while that's good, it's nice to be profitable, I realised that I'd kind of lost my own voice. And after self-publishing my first children's book, Our Dave, I decided I'd really like to explore that. I've always wanted to do books. I'd like to explore that part of my life a bit more, you know, get more involved in traditional publishing. So I've signed up to a few courses this year, starting to get my act together in terms of sketching, but I decided that making things to sell was kind of getting in the way, because there's always that pressure of like, will they like it? Will the place that I'm going to stock this, will it fit in well there? Rather than it being something that I like. So because of that, I haven't really sat down and thought about finished pieces. The other day I applied for the Picture This competition. Was it Picture This? No, it wasn't. It's the Picture Hooks competition, and that was an illustration competition. I'm still waiting back to hear back from that. I mean, not that I'm necessarily expecting to win, but it'd be nice. But I haven't heard anything from that yet. They said give it a couple of weeks, so still in that window. But that was the first really finished thing that I've done. Most of it's, well, all of it's been sketchbook based, which is lovely. I'm really loving my sketchbooks at the moment. Something that I never really did before because I didn't know how to use them, didn't know how to sketchbook. Because of taking the year out, I haven't really done many finished things. The competition was the first time I did a finished thing in kind of this new style that I'm doing, which is more kind of sketchy, more illustrative, there's more energy in it, I feel. Bit more suited to children's book illustration. But then that got me thinking, maybe I could make a collection that's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have the only intention is to sell it in the next 2 months or whatever, you know what I mean? I'll make a collection so I can have some finished pieces. I can add them to my portfolio on my website, and if they do look cool and they work well together, I can maybe try and pitch them to some places. There are options, but so I've got an idea for like a little collection. I'd like to brainstorm those. So I'm going to take my big sketchbook. I think what I'm going to do actually is go down into the kitchen, which is the coolest room in the house, clear that table off, which has been a long time coming. It is a bit of a dumping ground, that table, and I am 50% responsible for it. And then I'll take all my sketchbooks down there. I'm going to brainstorm some things. I need to get some sketchbooks, so that's why I'm up here. I need to collect some bits and bobs. So yeah, let's do that. Yesterday I asked you guys if you had any questions that you wanted to ask me, and I would use some of my videos to answer them, and one of you did ask me a question. So it came as a direct message on Instagram, so thanks very much for that, and it's from Marianne. So I'm going to answer that now because it's a real good question. And I'm sorry if I waffle. I've already filmed this bit once before. You're a bit wonky. Hang on, let me unwonk you. Yeah, I've already filmed this one once before, so this is take 2. I waffled a bit too much, so I deleted that one. So, question. It says, "Hi Emma, I'm so glad I found your drawings and all you offer on Patreon and YouTube. I've got a question for you. What advice would you give to someone starting in illustration, hoping to turn it into a small business at some point, especially for someone who's starting this journey in their late 40s? And also, they ask, do you have a website because I couldn't find it on your... do you have a shop because I couldn't find it on your website?" So firstly, yes, I do have a shop. It's called Embers and Ink, and I don't link it to emmawoodthorpe.com because emmawoodthorpe.com is my kind of personal journey into illustration, my own voice page where I've got my portfolio and my sketchbook work and all of the work I've been doing like this year to find my voice. I pop that on there, and hopefully that's where agents and children's book publishers will go to find my illustration style. And embersandink.com, embersandink.co.uk, sorry, is my small business, and that's developed very much into a focus of following market trends and what I've found makes me money. So all of my kind of products, my greetings cards and stuff like that, are sold through embersandink.co.uk, and emmawoodthorpe.com is like portfolio work and kind of the culmination of this journey I've been on this year to find my creative voice. Also, the last bit of that question where it says, especially for someone starting this journey later in life in their 40s. I've just turned 40. I know that kind of self-doubt feeling that you might have starting something later in life, but it doesn't hold you back, honestly. You've got as much, if not more, skill in your craft in your 40s, 50s and 60s as you do in your teens, 20s and 30s. 100%. I have got a small illustration business. I started that in my 30s, my mid-30s, so you go for it. It doesn't matter what age you are. So in regards to starting an illustration business, there are lots of ways to be an illustrator, and I only have done one of them, and I'm looking into doing a second. So my first one is I basically started drawing pictures that I liked, got them printed, started an Etsy shop, and I started selling them that way. Because of that, I got on Instagram to share my work, and it took off from there. So that's one way of being an illustrator, but I know there are other ways. If you don't already know them, the Good Ship Illustration is a good place to go for an idea of different illustration jobs. There's 3 women there who run the Good Ship Illustration, and they all do their illustration work in different fields. So Tanya does like product illustration, I think, just maps, cartography. Katie does, she illustrates people's meetings, so she's a live drawer, live scriber, and Helen is a picture book illustrator, and there are many other ways of being an illustrator. I'm also looking into now, because I want to develop it further, I'm looking into the more traditional children's book illustration side of being an illustrator. At the moment, I've self-published my own children's book, but now I want to look into getting an agent and doing a more traditional, see if I can go down the more traditional route, basically. So I'm not going to talk with any authority about all of the ways you can be an illustrator. You need to let your imagination run wild. But I can definitely tell you how I started out being an illustrator in my kind of field, making my Embers and Ink, for sure. So basically I started out, I talked about this a little bit yesterday, so I started out my Embers and Ink small business when I was a teaching assistant. I kind of refound drawing after not drawing for like a decade more. We were out on a walk one day, Andy was climbing, and I wasn't feeling like I wanted to climb, so I just watched. And I saw this rainbow over the fields, and I'm like, oh, I could draw that. When I get home, I'm going to do some art. And I did, and I went online and I bought some art materials, and that is where Embers and Ink started, because I was like really enthused to start being creative again. It just came out of nowhere. I always was creative when I was younger. I'd always draw. It was always something I did personally, but then for a long time in my life, I didn't do anything creative, really. Not in terms of drawing and things, maybe sewing and knitting. And then all of a sudden, just like that, I wanted to draw again, draw and paint. I just wanted to splash paint around. So I started doing landscapes, some charcoal landscapes. That's where my love was at the moment, at that time, at that moment. And I got some good feedback from friends when I posted them on my Facebook, and then I was like, right, now or never, I'm going to get some printed and I'm going to set up an Etsy shop. So at the time, Etsy was the thing, but I soon learned Etsy wasn't for me. But there are other kind of online marketplaces like Folksy around as well, and probably more by now, but I haven't looked into it lately. So I printed some art prints and I made some into cards, worked out how to do all that, and started selling those on Etsy with limited success. I started applying to in-person markets and they were more successful for me. Got a lot of good feedback from customers I love in-person markets. If you can do in-person markets, I'd recommend that. It's so much fun. It's a lot of work, but you get instant feedback from people, and I think people are more likely to buy from you if they see the person who's made the thing, rather than, you know, the internet is like shouting into a gale at the moment. So that's one piece of advice. So yeah, I started doing that when I was working as a teaching assistant. And that's another thing I'd say. Don't feel like you've got to take the plunge and quit your job and be an illustrator full time, because, you know, it might not pick up straight away. I mean, like, you might do as well, you never know. But keep your job or get a part-time job alongside it. There's no stigma in You don't have to be doing it full time to call yourself an illustrator, is what I'm saying. Change of scenery. My battery ran out, so I had to come close to the plug. So how I transitioned into the Embers and Ink that I am now. So I started, like I say, I started with my landscapes, selling cards and prints. I soon realised that not many people bought prints, more people bought cards. So I was swayed by the market forces and made more cards. During the pandemic, I kind of had to really rethink my business, because a lot of my business was either in-person fairs or stocking at the Sheffield Maker Shop. And when the Sheffield Maker Shop had to close for months and months on end, I lost my income. I didn't have another job to fall back on. Not that I would have wanted to be a teaching assistant during the pandemic, crikey, but I really needed to rethink. So another tip would be to have multiple income streams. What I did during the pandemic, I signed up as a creator on a card shop called Thoughtful that I'd heard about. So they were looking for card creators. That's where I decided to change up some of my card designs or develop new card ideas, because they were more kind of funny cards, bright cards, colourful cards. And I was like, right, I can do funny, bright and colourful. I love a pun, had loads of card ideas that I hadn't been doing because they didn't really fit with my charcoal landscapes. So I started making cards there. They did really well. Some cards better than others, so I started doing more of the cards that people bought. Again, I was being led by market forces. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. I also became a Skillshare teacher. If you don't know, Skillshare is an online learning platform. You can go on there as a customer and learn new skills, but also if you've got skills to teach, you can become a teacher. And I did that. My Skillshare link is down below if you want to check out Skillshare. You do get I think it's a month, or at least a month's free membership with Skillshare if you sign up through my link. So go and give it a go. And you can also become a teacher while you're there and start making money. That's a really good way of making a bit of income from your illustration. So what else do I do? There was another online card retailer that I signed up for as a creator. I don't do that now. Little things like that, basically. So look for multiple income streams, different ways that you can make money, not just selling in a shop, because that swept me off my feet when the shops closed. It was like panic stations. Yeah, it really lit a fire under me. Another tip I would say is also don't lose, what's the word? How do I say it? Don't lose the thing that lights you up. So when I was saying I was being led by market forces before, that there's nothing wrong with it. I did that because I needed to make money. And it worked. So I made things that people wanted to buy. But I got further and further away from where I started, which was charcoal landscapes, a bit more realistic, a bit more observational. And I mean, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's why I've got two very different personalities online. So I've got Embers and Ink, which is me. I make all the things on Embers and Ink, but that is very much my business. I make greetings cards, I make happy birthday cards, gifts, stationery, all plastic free, all sustainable, all funding tree planting with every purchase. That's my business. And then when I started sketchbooking again, so this year I've taken a year out from making things to sell to just refine my voice. So I've got emmawoodthorpe.com, which is my online portfolio, which is, like I say, different to Embers and Ink. So that would be my tip, is don't lose the thing that lights you up in pursuit of money. And it doesn't mean that you can't do the things that make you money. It just means it doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't have to be binary. You can keep both. So I hope that helps. I'm probably going to have to get on with some work now. It's been a long time talking. If I think of anything else, any other tips, I will definitely record those in the rest of this video. So I'll mull those over while I put some sketches down. Okay, so I stopped to do a little bit of lunch, and then I noticed I had another question on my Instagram sticker from yesterday. So someone asked if I did art at university. Nope, I did English, and I got a first class BA in English Lit from York St John, and then I got my MA in Literature Studies from York St John. It became York St John University then. So I didn't do drawing or illustration or art past GCSE. I did GCSE art and that's it. And yeah, so you don't need an art degree to do illustration and art as a business. Thank you so much for your questions today. It's been nice sitting and chatting to you. I think I'm going to leave this video here because I'm real sleepy after having my lunch, and with this heat as well, I don't think I'm going to be great company. So I'm probably going to mooch on with this kind of self-motivated project that I've got going on right now. And I will see you in the next one. So see you later.